You're watching Mirror 7 News. Stay informed, stay ahead for more news.
This latest round of diplomacy at the White House carried a very different tone compared to the heated exchange between Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky earlier this year. The Ukrainian president arrived looking more statesmanlike, dressed in a suit rather than his familiar military attire. Trump even complimented him on his appearance, a small but telling sign that both sides were determined to avoid unnecessary confrontation this time around. From the outset, Zelensky spoke cautiously. His words were few during the initial Oval Office appearance, as though he was weighing every statement carefully. It seemed clear he did not want to risk saying anything that might clash with Trump's message. Still, polite gestures and repeated thanks helped set a warmer atmosphere. Later, when they joined European leaders for a press appearance, differences became clearer. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz and French President Emmanuel Macron pressed for a ceasefire in Ukraine as a first step toward peace, while Trump argued that a temporary halt in fighting was not essential before aiming for a more permanent solution. Zelensky, notably, chose not to press the point publicly. What emerged from the behind-closed-doors discussions was a focus on security guarantees for Ukraine and the possibility of arranging a face-to-face meeting between Zelensky and Russian President Vladimir Putin. No details were disclosed about the nature of these guarantees, but Zelensky described them as an essential starting point toward ending the war. He went further, suggesting that the deal could involve as much as $90 billion in U.S. weapons, ranging from aviation systems to anti-missile technology. A side element of the talks included potential U.S. purchases of Ukrainian drones, which would boost Kyiv's own production capacity. Zelensky hinted that negotiations on this package might be finalized within 10 days. On the sensitive matter of meeting Putin, Zelensky expressed openness, saying he was ready to sit down directly with his Russian counterpart, even proposing that Trump could join such talks. So far, the Kremlin has resisted, but reports suggested Putin might be willing to agree to a bilateral meeting soon, possibly paving the way for a trilateral summit. Another striking moment came when Zelensky presented Trump with a map, pointing out that Russia had managed to occupy less than 1% of Ukraine's territory over the past 1,000 days. He insisted that earlier U.S. assessments of Russian territorial gains had been misleading, and he argued that correcting this perception was crucial. Observers noted that Trump's mood seemed to shift after seeing the map. By the end of the day, Zelensky characterized the White House discussions as warm, and his best meeting with Trump so far. His optimism, whether strategic or genuine, reflected a clear effort to keep American support steady while aligning with European calls for progress. The outcome was not a breakthrough, but rather a temporary easing of tensions. For Ukraine, that meant valuable time was gained. For Russia, after Trump's follow-up call with Putin, the same could be said. In the end, the war remains unresolved, but the delicate balance of diplomacy held for now. Stay subscribed for more videos.